without trial for a crime he did not commit. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. On Wednesday evening, protesters gathered in front of the White House and at the U.S. Armed Forces Recruitment Station in Times Square, New York, to denounce President Trump's surprise announcement banning transgender people from serving in the military. Trump made the declaration on Twitter Wednesday morning, tweeting, "After consultation with my generals and military experts, please be advised that the United States government will not accept or allow transgender individuals to serve in any capacity in the U.S. military. Our military must be focused on decisive and overwhelming victory and cannot be burdened with the tremendous medical costs and disruption that transgender in the military would entail. Thank you," he tweeted in 3 separate tweets. Trump's announcement reverses Obama-era rules allowing transgender people to serve in the military and have all their health care costs, including gender reassignment surgery, covered. Trump's announcement appeared to have even shocked the Pentagon, which has directed all questions about the order to the White House. The New York Times reports Defense Secretary James Mattis learned of Trump's plans on Tuesday. Veterans Affairs Secretary David Shulkin said he learned of the policy change from Trump's tweet. Politico is reporting Trump may have made the snap decision in an attempt to secure congressional funding to build a wall along the U.S.-Mexican border. A spending bill, which included money for the wall, was facing possible defeat in the House because some Republicans wanted to ban Pentagon-funded sex reassignment operations. After learning of the dispute, Trump took a much more dramatic stand to completely ban transgender people from serving in the military. But many questions remain unanswered as to what will happen to the estimated 15,000 trans service members currently in the military. This is a reporter questioning White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders during a news conference on Wednesday.
What happens to transgender service members now? Are they immediately thrown out of the military?
That's something that the Department of Defense and the White House will have to work together as implementation takes place and is done so lawfully.
According to the Trans Military Project, some 15,500 transgender individuals currently serve in the U.S. military. Transgender people are twice as likely to serve than cisgender people, and there's no other known organization that employs more transgender people than the U.S. military. Trump's decision to ban transgender service members came on the 69th anniversary of the desegregation of the military. On July 26, 1948, President Truman signed an executive order to integrate the armed forces. Well, for more, we go to Seattle, Washington, where we're joined by Staff Sergeant Patricia King. She was the first infantry member to reveal she's transgender. King has served in the Army for 18 years, including 3 active combat deployments to Afghanistan. Staff Sergeant Patricia King, welcome to Democracy Now! Your response to the presidential announcement yesterday that all transgender people will be banned from the military.
Thank you so much for having me. When I woke up yesterday morning, I woke up to the news as my phone blew up from other service members who were concerned about what this meant for them. Do we still have a job? Will we still have a job? Can I continue to serve? And I woke up very much in a state of shock. My first reaction was, did I just get fired via tweet? And from there, I moved on, and I calmed my fellow service members down, and we banded together as we always do. And then I laced up my boots, and just like any other day, I went to work.
And where do you work?
I am a soldier at Fort Lewis, Washington. I serve in the 2-3 Infantry.
So what were people saying on the base?
When I got to work, the truth is that people still didn't know. I was the first person to tell my chain of command what had happened. My leadership was quick to reassure me and say that they supported me, that they have my back, and that we're a team, and that they were in my corner.
So what exactly does this mean? I mean, if he is banning all service members who are trans, are they going to be going to bases all over the world, not to mention bases here like yours, Fort Lewis, and kick you out?
You know, I couldn't speak to what's going to happen next. What I know is that I've been serving for 18 years now. I've served honorably and proudly, and it's my intention to continue to serve. So it's my goal to make it so that I can do that.
Now, the Pentagon has made gender reassignment a covered health benefit, as ordered by the Obama administration. What would it mean to transgender service members to lose this benefit?
Well, I don't think that health care should be considered a benefit, first of all. We have to remember that what the previous Secretary of Defense said was that all medically necessary care will be covered. And it's hard to consider something that's medically necessary a benefit. Most of us who serve, the most important thing to us is the ability to continue serving our country. So while my health care is a concern, my major concern right now is that I've been serving this country for almost 2 decades. I love my country, and I just want to be able to continue to serve.
Can you talk about why you joined the military?
Initially, I joined out of high school, and it was very much a soul-searching opportunity. I came into the military in an effort to figure out who I was and where my place in the world was. What I immediately found out is just how much I love the military. I love the camaraderie and the opportunity to make a difference, and that's what kept me here for 18 years.
A study by the RAND Corporation estimates gender reassignment treatments would cost the military between $2.5 million and $8.5 million annually. By comparison, the total military spending on erectile dysfunction drugs amounts to 10 times as much annually. Your response to this, Staff Sergeant King?
Well, I'm fortunate not to need erectile dysfunction medication.
But what does it say to you about the priorities of the president?
I would be remiss if I decided to speak on the priorities in Washington, D.C. I can tell you that my priority is service to my country and being able to continue to represent this country and the transgender community. I know dozens and dozens of service members who their main concern is focusing on the freedom of our country and continuing to provide that freedom. We're certainly not worried about the political leanings left or right in Washington, D.C.
Last year, candidate Donald Trump tweeted, "Thank you to the LGBT community. I will fight for you while Hillary brings in more people that will threaten your freedoms and beliefs." Your response today?
Again, Washington, D.C. seems like a world away from me. When I get up in the morning, I put on my boots, I lace them up, and I get ready to go to work. My focus is on being a supportive member of my team. And the team that I work with, the brothers and sisters in arms that I work with, are there to support me. They're not concerned about whether I'm transgender or cisgender, whether I'm a man or a woman. In the military, we focus on job performance. And that's the only thing that matters, is how well you can do your job.
This seems to have taken the Pentagon by surprise, this tweeted announcement yesterday that affects the lives of so many thousands of people. James Mattis, the defense secretary, was on vacation. The Times reports he learned of this the day before. But he had announced a month ago that he was doing a 6-month investigation to decide on the status of transgender people in the military. What is your sense of what the leadership feels about this? Has it changed under the Trump administration from the highest levels to, well, where you are on your base?
Well, when the Department of Defense decided that they were going to integrate transgender people into the military, they did the most exhaustive study on a people group that the military has ever done. They commissioned RAND Corporation, the New England Journal of Medicine did their own study, and the Department of Defense did a study for a year. In that time, they also sought out the 18 partner nations that we have who all have open transgender service. This was a detailed study that took a year to complete. And then the Secretary of Defense decided to give a further 6 months just to make sure that we were being thorough. Here in the military, we don't do anything quickly because we want to ensure that we're doing things right. I think the Secretary of Defense has the best interest of all soldiers and service members in mind. I can tell you that at JBLM here at Fort Lewis, there's been no change. Nobody has said that because one person is in charge or another person is in charge at any level that I was less or more of a person. My leadership has supported me, and I'll continue to support them.
So, Staff Sergeant Patricia King, you're the first infantry member to reveal that you're transgender. You've served in the Army for 18 years, including 3 active combat deployments to Afghanistan. Can you tell us your personal story? Did you transition in the military?
Yes, I did. I came out as transgender in January of 2015. After sharing this information with my family and receiving overwhelming support, I decided that it was time to move forward and that I wanted to live an authentic life. So the next people I decided it was important to come out to was my leadership in the military. I sat down with them and I shared that I was transgender and what this meant. At the time, the policy did not support transgender service, but my leadership knew the difference between what is allowed and what is right, and they wanted to support me in any way they could. So they supported me while adhering to policy, and shortly thereafter, transgender integration began to happen, and I was accepted by the military.
Finally, this is, the 69th anniversary of the decision by President Truman to desegregate the military. Your thoughts on the day that this happened 69 years ago, yesterday, the day Donald Trump tweeted that transgender people would be banned from the military was the actual anniversary.
In the military, we believe that we're leaders. We've led this nation in so many things. We've led the nation in the integration of service members from different ethnicities, different religions. We've done gender integration. We've integrated the LGBT community. And last year, we started the greatest gender integration to happen in our military by opening combat jobs to women and breaking down the transgender barrier. We are leaders in the military, and we are people that don't see race, religion, gender identity. The only thing we see is job performance. I know that the military wants to support their soldiers just as we've continued to support our country, and I believe that's what they'll continue to do.
Will you be joining protests against President Trump's, tweet? And it's not clear how this actually goes into effect.
To be honest with you, I have work to do. I'm a soldier, and I have other soldiers that I need to support and stand with, and that's where my place is.
Staff Sergeant Patricia King, I want to thank you for being with us. First infantry member to reveal that she is transgender. King has served in the Army for 18 years, including 3 active combat deployments to Afghanistan. We come back, we'll continue the discussion. Stay with us.